I wouldn't want to make a sweeping statement that I will be quoted out of context. I've already said God is going to add 10,000. I know that the governor has something, and until he unveils it, I will not be able to give the picture of what it is. I don't have that clairvoyance.
So the governor has something planned with regards to civil servants or workers?
There's nobody who does not. You have
I'm trying to get something out of you. That's the essence of the conversation.
Thing that does not have a plan. The governor must have a plan that will be favorable to Rivers people. Rivers civil servants. There must be a plan. I know strongly, because when last year you recall that he paid 100,000 across the board, he didn't tell anybody. He just came and said 100,000 across the board. And isn't that surprising? So if he wakes up tomorrow to say, look, my civil servants, you have been this kind to me, you have been instrumental to my success in the state, I will do this. Why not? He will do.
It then brings us to, since we mentioned the civil service employment, we've had barrage of questions from opposition and from Rivers people generally saying, when are we going to have that employment, major employment? And some people questioning what's even happening with some of the state property or assets. Some mentioned the syringe factory. Why is it still not up and running? Is there any some bottlenecks that we don't know about? Because that's one place that would employ a lot of people. Some are even saying the cassava plant. The last time we spoke, you told me about an expansion that the government was doing. How far is that? Because employment there would take a lot of young people. The Songhai farm, we saw the governor visit. We heard quite a lot about it. We heard about investors coming in and looking at the property and what they can do. But so far, so good. It's as though we've not been updated on what's happening. And if that could work, we're also going to have a lot of people employed. So what is happening in these areas with regards to employment?
Well, they say the night becomes darker when it's about dawn. People who are waiting, I can imagine the level of desperation, particularly those whose tests have been concluded. I can imagine their feelings. But what I can assure us is that it's a lot easier to destroy, but to build back takes a little more time. We were stagnated for 10 years. There was no promotion and nothing. And this governor is trying to see how he can piece together all the sectors. We're taking it through the Captain Elichamadi Polytechnic. We're doing it in Ignatius Ajuru University. We're doing in River State Health Management Board. We're doing in River State University Teaching Hospital. We're even doing it in other sectors, the 10,000 civil servants, which is actually the mainstream. What stalled the 10,000, I had already explained, was that there were a lot of mixtures. And the governor felt that there's no way you can employ a 52-year-old person to do a civil service job that terminates at 60. It means that by laws, our laws now, you will not be able to qualify for pension. If you take up that job and retire at 60, you may have just put in 8 years. The law requires that you must put in an average of 10 years to qualify for pension. So the governor had to get a consultant. The consultants are trying to sort it. There are the best that would have come out of that exercise, but there are also some inadequacies which must be addressed.
But there are those that argue that, well, the process actually started from the past administration where the employment was announced and all of that. So they felt that by now it should have even been much easier to complete this. Was there anything wrong?
It will depend on the volume of what was wrong with it. So trying to sort it. Don't also forget that quite a number of people are also moving from the core civil service to either lecturing. There are a lot of mobility, and until you're able to sort it so that you don't dig hole to cover hole. Once you dig hole to cover hole, there's still a hole. You understand what I mean? So that's the little challenge, but I can assure us that in a very short time, they'll begin to see the outcome.
Schools resumed on Monday.
Yes.
And with the cost of petrol and the increase in the price of transportation, I mean, we spoke with some civil servants who are saying even going to work, they have to trek a distance before they so they can manage the monies that they have. Some of them have said that the buses that the government had put on the road in the early stages of the inflation crisis is no longer enough. And they were expecting that with what's happening, if anybody was monitoring the situation, would know that we either need more buses on the road or something dramatic has to happen. And there are those that are not civil servants that are saying, if you provide this for civil servants, what about those of us that are not civil servants? Which brings me to say, the Rivers, the RTC, is fantastic how the government is trying to bring it back upstream. But is it out of place to look at an idea where we have the transport company even go beyond just doing interstate travels? But because of the necessity and what will happen in Rivers State, we find subsidized transportation for Rivers people through the RTC that have buses that run the various junctions and all that we have private people and commercial people do. Is that out of place? And that happened? What else should be done or can be done to tackle this problem of high cost of transportation for civil servants and workers and Rivers people in general?
I think that we should be applauded. The governor, from the outset of his regime, had already thrown a number of buses, in the name of palliative buses.
Yeah.
And those buses, I doubt if there's any state that is still running that, but we're running it at the cost of government, at no cost to civil servants. I want to believe that anybody who understands what the last 1 year has been will agree that things are happening at a very dizzying level. You just wake up, you see one challenge, another day, another. Where we are now is that fuel is for 1,400. You and I know that, let's say 6 weeks ago, we were under 1,000.
Yes.
And we have moved to 1,400 or 1,450. Nobody can put a finger on what it will be like in the next 3 weeks or 2 months. So when once there are challenges and government wakes up to see how to ameliorate or mitigate the hardship on its citizenry, you discover that whilst you're on the drawing table trying to address certain issues, a lot of other developments are coming. Some coming from the national government, some from the subnational, So the fuel situation that we find now is not a creation of the state. So I wouldn't even have any defense as to that, because the fuel pricing regime is entirely the sole responsibility of the national
but
government.
truthfully,
So for us, what we were doing at the capacity we were doing it, we thought it could tarry. We had just done barely 1 year. So if we have put a bus, probably may not be enough, and there are challenges. I'm sure that as a government, we need to go back and see how we can rejig the system and produce better results. But
So
for now, everybody's on the.
Does this mean that we have the possibility of having increased number of buses on the roads to help people commute?
Before you make policy statements, there must be something. This governor is not given to perfidy. He's not somebody that will just wake up and, just talks. But I want to believe strongly that as the challenges present themselves, there will be things that government will do to mitigate the hardship.
Okay, but the government is clearly in the know of what the situation is in Rivers.
We're not foreigners. I live here with you.
So that would mean that perhaps meetings have been held and conversations would have been held to
I
say.
told you that things are happening at this level. You wake up. I didn't know I couldn't believe I could buy fuel for 1,450. I just couldn't believe. I never bought like that at the beginning of August. Do you understand? I was still navigating between 690, 800 and all that. Suddenly it had moved up. Who knows perhaps what will happen in the next few weeks.
Some of the civil servants have said, if it's possible, let's do 2 days or 3 days, 8 days off, or 1 day in, 1 day out.
You need to also look at the implications. Will it be favorable to government? What will be the end result? Because we all need to up our economy. If our economy is still down and people are not showing appearance, I can imagine what the atmosphere would look like. So you need to look at the option before you can say, okay, it's best for civil servants to start home. Let us pay them since they can't pay transport. What about the consequence?
So it means everybody has to find the middle ground. I'm sure plenty of questions will be coming in from Facebook. We are streaming live Nigeria 92.3 PH. You've heard the Commissioner for Information responding to some of the questions that have been asked of him. And, well, he said the government is working on things. Some of the things he doesn't want to say. He said, but you would find out. I was even trying to find maybe Rivers State might decide to pay beyond 70,000 naira new minimum wage. But he says, well, I can't say anything. The governor did the one he did we didn't know when he did it. He just woke up and did it. So wait and see what happens. If he wants to do anything, he would do it. We'll take a very short commercial. When we come back, there's still more to talk about. The local government elections, among many other developmental plans of the River State. Stay with us.
The show continues.
to tackle some of the issues that currently we're faced with. I will just take your messages on Facebook and get him to respond. Like I said, it's going to be a question theme. So from now, we're taking more of the questions in the next 10-15 minutes. We'll take some questions on WhatsApp and Facebook, and then we'll open the phone lines and also respond to questions that I'm sure you have. I still have a few of them here, but let's hear from you first. And here again, Delore says, good morning, greetings to you and your guest. Your guest yesterday told us that local government workers are being left out from minimum wage. Please ask the commissioner, why aren't local government workers carried along a minimum wage? What is the government's plan on local government workers? Okay, so I spoke with Labour yesterday. I was telling you this, and one of the callers asked a question about some councils where local government workers are not being. He said the governor has given directives, areas should be paid, this and that. And he said many councils have not started implementing that some workers are not getting paid. I don't know if this information is something that's within the corridor of the government, but yeah, that was what was said. And this person is asking if the government is aware.
I'm not aware. I won't be able to put a finger on what I do not have full information on.
Hopefully,
I'd like to get back to the chairman of the Local Government Service Commission, who will give me the position.
Okay. Hopefully, if you can, send us some of those local governments so we have them, because I know yesterday a few were mentioned. I can't remember off the top of my head, so I wouldn't want to mention the wrong ones. John Stewart says, good morning to the commissioner. Good morning, Ifemi. Please, there's urgent need for government to look into activities of petrol stations in the state. Most of the petrol stations have bad meters. They adjust their meters deliberately and it's selling more on the masses. We can't be buying fuel this expensive and then the meters are not giving what it should give. Reginald Feinburn says, the 10,000 employment, has it been cancelled or is being sought out to employ those that are qualified? I think the commissioner answered that already, so I'll move on to Stanley. Says, good morning. If state government is implementing new minimum wage despite federal government today, what about other people in state who are not civil servants? What are they going to do? Looking at the price of of petrol in the country, looking at the price of rice, looking at the price of what again? Okay, all of that stuff. How can we survive? John Stewart, okay, we had that before. Nati says the governor should add more buses to help the people. Cost of transportation is really high. So on X, we had a poll. We were asking, yes, we know that the Civil Service Commission is there and they would have to do what they have to do. But in matters like this, some are of the opinion that, well, can't the state government just do it? So we had a poll asking you whether you would prefer a system where the state government can just decide to go on and work on the new minimum wage and implement. And we'll be taking out I'll be calling out the results of that poll shortly. The numbers to call are 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0003. Again, 0817-923-0002 and 0817-923-0003. That is the number to call to join in on the conversation. Remember, your questions we want to know. So the commissioner is here with us. He asked the questions and we'll get the response. Let's go to the local government elections coming. Before we move on to other issues, let's start with this one now. Is October 5 sacrosanct? We recently saw the security guard, the APP secretariat, shot. And the police report, according to the police report, takes that the bullet was, the attack or the shooting was not at the secretariat. It was what we call flying bullet. So maybe it was happening somewhere else and then the bullet got to the security guard at the secretariat. Many talks have come up. You are not the PDP party chairman, of course, but speaking for the government, there are accusations that, or allegations that the governor and those that are working with him are looking at joining the APP and so on and so forth. What is all of the drama with the October 5 election? Are we still going ahead with that election?
Even though I'm not holding brief for his sake, but the governor has re-emphasized that election slated for October 5 will hold, and I don't have a different opinion. That election will hold. Preparations are in top gear. Those who are ready to run are running. The ones that have withdrawn have also withdrawn. Well, that faction is no longer even there. The one that was illicitly led by Tony Okocha. The one that Emeka Beke is running is the authentic one, known to law, and that one, I understand they are part of the parties that will be participating. So the board of trustees of the party, PDP, they visited the governor, and the governor reenacted his will that he's still a member of PDP. And you can see the Nigerian Governors Forum are all also standing by the governor. So it gives you a clear indication that the governor is a member of PDP, and APPS is one party, but governor has nothing to do with it.
Okay. Chima in Rumokuta, let's go to you and let's hear your question. Chima, good morning.
Thank you very much. What's happening in Rivers State now, as I said before, it's a one-man show. Because this is almost 2 years now that the governor keeping Rivers people busy, that is trying to do an employment in this sector that the Commissioner for Information just said. And nothing is happening. And as you started earlier, you mentioned some schemes, some factories that have been built by the past and other past administration that the government is just leaving behind like that. Now, if you come for the aspect of transportation that they provided free bus, we know what is happening in Rivers State. It is supposed to be free because there are some persons that are not employed, that don't even have money to even pay for that. Even now, they say that they are subsidizing. If he wants to do well, let him make it so. Then the aspect of election in Rivers State, he heard it already, that there are some persons that the government has started bringing into the APP party where they are filling form in government house. There's not going to be any election. It's going to be team people's movement all along. There are so many things to say about Rivers State. But we are looking at them. We are looking at the Commissioner of Information. You are there. You know what is happening in the state. Nothing is happening at all. The 100,000 naira the governor gave when he came in as a governor was just a jamboree, just to buy the heart of the people. That's what he does this. But no wahala, we are looking at him.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Let's go to Echie. Dakuku, good morning. So then you respond to both. Yes.
Good morning, Nigeria Info.
Okay, Dakuku, go on.
Let me ask you again, the commissioner there. I want to ask him, you are talking about way to solve problem in Rivers State, the hardship. Key, but let me give the one example for that to speak. Most of the taxation on the drivers and those who are carrying goods to the River State, problem we are having here. If they can stop those taxations, you see that the rate of high cost of food will reduce in this state. I'm just telling the truth. And now what? Let me tell you, for where they're talking about minimum wage. The minimum wage, if I don't implement, it will not reach everybody. It is health workers, civil servants, not ordinary individuals. What they do is to make sure that they monitor the taxation in this state. The taxation is small. People are giving police, giving Aburo, go to Rumokuro, what is that? I can use it. The people were able to record those before they're able to sell their goods. Do what is going to happen. Let me stop. I'm not into this country. Thank you. This is Akuku from my office.
All right, Dakuku, thank you. Let's get your response to both of these before we go on with more calls. With the taxation you mentioned, I think we had that on the news this morning. Drivers complaining about some illegal task force people posing to be task force officials, collecting 1,000 naira each from vehicles and sometimes even impounding vehicles and taking them to parks. And then you have to come and clear with 30,000, 50,000, 20,000 as the case may be.
Well, let me even start by correcting that this government is not up to 2 years. The first speaker talked about talked about what we have been doing in the last 2 years. That's far from it. If you may recall that at the beginning of this discussion, you mentioned the syringe factory.
Yes.
We have almost completed the necessary things that will effectuate whatever was planned for that factory. So that
can we know what those things are? Can Rivers people know what the things are? That
the place was vandalized. The place was abandoned and vandalized. Government has decided to reinject life into that project. And you recall also that yesterday we had just inaugurated the Investment Promotion Agency. That economic summit was intended to open Rivers State to the world. And then the governor's charge yesterday was that the interest should be on manufacturing and production. Part of the 37-page program blueprint of the governor, one of it is the reindustrialization of Transamadi. If we create more jobs, it will reduce crime. If there are no jobs, even if governor shares 1 million every day to all of us, it will still not address the matter. So the governor felt that the 3 cardinal areas that he will be interested in going into the second year will be agric, education, and health. That agric will try to tie up everything around Songhai Farm and all the other farms that were abandoned. Recall that last week, Tuesday or so, we had the Canadian High Commissioner. He was in the States. Why did he come? It's for economic exploration. So when people don't understand how the level of decay in our state, because they don't know the level of decay in our state, they think that it's just enough to wake up and say, okay, why can't the governor increase the number of buses? Yes, it's doable, but appreciate the little that is still on the road. I've said that no state, I don't even think there's anyone that still operates a free bus system. Rather than appreciate, our people are bent on criticizing, oh, he's been doing this, he's been seeing movement, all those ones will not help us. Let's do constructive arguments. We are bringing in people who will come and increase our economy. The economy of the state, yes, we have increased our IGR, but there are a lot of things that we'll do in the production and manufacturing industries that will help to rev up the economy of the state. A lot of people will get employed. The economy will boom, and life will become a little bit manageable.
All right. You mentioned the syringe factory and what's happening there now.
Yes.
What is the situation with the cassava plant? What is also the situation with some of the hospitals that the past administration built? One of them is the Mother and Child Hospital, who many are saying is still not open. Why is it not working? What's going on? The cardiovascular...
The cassava plant, what we have done as a government is trying to upscale it. The capacity moved from a particular metric ton, I can't remember precisely, but in the region of 1,000 metric tons.
Is it operating now, the cassava plant?
Of course, it is operating. It's supposed to be it's a processing plant. It's not a place where
they don't manufacture gari.
They don't manufacture gari. So you bring in your yields, it will process it into different products. Some will come in gari, some in starch, different kind of products that are coming out of it. That's the sense of that one. But you need to increase your yield. And the yields will come from the farms. There are private farms. There are government farms. There are the ones our parents just go out and do. So the aggregate of all these ones will be what will be taken to the processing plant if you wish to. Otherwise, they still do the local, the native way of also processing. So this is just on one end. What the Canadian government came to do is taking interest in there's a gas plant that was commissioned in Bori recently. The people said they were attracted to it, and there are a lot of interest in the gas sector, which is the Ahoda and Obebima axis. Those are the areas they are interested in. Some are interested in the blue economy. Some would want to do something in LNG. These are those who are coming as a result of the economic summit which we had, which we have considered formally. Yesterday, the chairman and all the members of that board were put together. And we're expecting that as they hit the ground running, quite a lot of things will be done, because those who are waiting to invest would need to have, a point where they can aggregate to get results out of the measures that would have put in place. It's not a thing that will come to any ministry, but it's going to go to the IPA, that's Investment Promotion Agency, which is headed by one Mr. Anga, a seasoned lawyer, and quite a number of other very, very good brains of the state who are going to be working with him.
All right, let's hear Ida from Nkoro. Good morning, Ida.
Yeah, Andrew, good morning.
Yeah.
That's what I want to find the Commissioner of Information.
Good morning.
Consider River is booming under this governor. This governor took over. Because of time from now, work is going on. Now, to please the commissioner to take this message to the governor. To please, they are talking about Agboro. Customers are complaining that people are collecting money. One individual that is doing this thing. So the governor should please build the gap
all the taxi will be sent into the tax. One particular person like copying all these cases, telling us their party guests, only wrong parking, which National Union, the Chairman of National Union Transport, Tomato George, find a way to stop it. The drivers are suffering. The government should please build the park and buy taxi because we will not return on. Have a taxi and make it on the same thing. So the government should please all the union chairman come to Tomato so that they can sit down and talk. We can buy taxi for people. Please, the government are suffering under this particular person.
All right, Ida. Thank you very much. I think we got your point already. Even though it was not very clear, Ida, we got your point already. Let's hear Obinna from Irebe. Okay, Isaiah is in Buguma. Isaiah, good morning.
Yes, Andrew, good morning. Let me greet the Honorable Commissioner. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Isaiah.
Andrew, that hype came up some days ago where some civil servants, their citizens ranging from different local governments and the shortage of vehicle and public persons who also come to the secretariat sometimes will join them to board the vehicle. And as such, you see that the for people applying that vehicle is much, that they need the addition of it. And of course, I've listened to the and he said that the modalities will be put in place. It is not something he will answer, but he will go back to the governor. At least I also want to join that they should look into it because the governor we have today he pay more listening ears to issues more than what we do compared to what we have in the past. And that is that. And the forthcoming election, please, I think it is much needed because looking at the Supreme Court judgment that after 3 months, if any state that do not conduct election, that federal allocation belonging to local government will not be given anymore. So no court injunction or no any court issue can stop that because the Supreme Court judgment is far preceding to any other lower court judgment. That election must hold. And I pray that come 5th of October, Rivers Women will elect their local government.
Let's go to Muriel. Muriel is in Okrika. Good morning, Muriel.
Hi, Femi. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. This is your Okrika woman. I'm a commissioner. Look, Femi, some of us really want this government to prosper, to excel by all means, because we know how we are being attacked by friends and relatives and know us. Look, Femi, I really want this government to look at subsidizing farm produce and youth and women. I'm not really hearing anything about youth and women. Look, Femi, the government can subsidize by either providing, I've said it before, providing buses. People are saying they should provide more buses for civil servants. No, Femi, provide buses to bring in farm produce at a very reduced cost. If you cannot do that, go yourself. The government should delegate people. Go yourself, buy from farmers, You buy from farmers and resell in some maybe government farm stores and different places. Market markets, government markets, where the tools are being subsidized. People will come and buy. Look, in the area of youth, I'm not getting anything. Honestly, I am not, and I really want them to encourage youth. Our youth are very intelligent. Encourage youth educational skills. The ICT center is there. I don't know what is happening. Even in sports, I don't know what is happening. Please, set up these things. Encourage the youth. You start mentoring relationships, through giving our youth safe spaces to speech. Our youth are so dumb, nothing is happening. And promote youth leadership. Let there be youth leadership, not just political leaders. Youth leadership, all political from different those that are not even involved in politics. Let our youth speak. Who are the leaders of the youth? How are they engaging the youth? We want to know if you what about women? The only thing are women praying and praying and praying. God has answered prayers. Who are the commissioners of women? Who are they? Let them sort of skills to develop women, educate women, empower them. And women need government assistance. How do you want to assist them? Tell us these things. Women don't have information. People need information in the marketplace. Engage women. They should stop praying. God has answered the prayers. But go out and start empowering women. Please.
All right. Amadi is in Port Harcourt. Amadi, let's hear you quickly. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Femi.
Yeah, good morning.
I believe this commissioner is insider because most of the questions you're asking him, he will pretend as if he don't understand what the government is doing. Now, there's information that all the schools should come and register. The schools that are not updated should come and update their schools. And we are talking about the hardship that the country is going on through now. The Commissioner of Transportation is also there on one hand, persuading the transport workers to come and paint their vehicles. And this is the government that has said that they are government friendly. What are they actually doing over here? We are talking about the primary educations we have in communities. Nothing is going on there. And they are just looking at inflating the people with more hardship, and they say they are government friendly. I think I'm putting it to the commissioner that they are not doing enough by saying what he is coming to claim. It's not when you go on air and you say you give people cars and you do empowerment and you say you are doing, bring your eyes down and check what the people actually want, and you will see that you gain the people interest. That is what I have to say to the
Thank you very much. We'll get the response of the commissioner. I'll just put a few more questions from WhatsApp. Clever Sonny says, tell us what's happening in the Songhai farm in Ogoni. That's from Clever Sonny. This one says, please, I'm begging the governor to liberate the state from unemployment. The governor should not abandon the youths like the former governor did. Adaya says, we have always had aimless leaders who don't set goals. It's all stories upon stories. Governments on online, radio and tabloids. These people have no clear plans. For me, this administration is just like the last administration. Adaya, that message is from you. This one says, vehicles impounded by people who claim to work for Orisa. Let the government help tackle the problem of illegal tax force. Vincent. Okay, we have about 3 minutes before you respond, Honorable Commissioner. So we had that poll on X I was telling you about, and that people would support that state governments, when minimum wage are announced or implemented or agreed upon, state governments should be able to take charge and begin implementation without waiting for the federal government. And if you look at that poll, 88.6% of the people say yes, they would prefer that way would work. 11.4% says they don't care. Nobody said no. Everybody basically wanted it to operate that way, because perhaps if that was the system, by now we would have had some states decide to put something on ground and move away with it. But up until this time, we still haven't, and we have the inflation still rising. All right, let's get your response.
Well, there are a few suggestions, particularly from some of the callers. I heard Muriel has a lot of meat in it, and there are others too have expressed their opinion. They are at liberty to air, and we do not know it all. The few suggestions that have come, I've noted, and I'll take it up appropriately. The issue of illegal tax force, there is no perfect situation anyway. But I will also mention to His Excellency and also talk to my colleague Commissioner for Transport to try and look into it, because if that's a public outcry, it means that it must be addressed so that it does not bring us negative press. And in all, we are a growing government. We should not be judged, as if we have spent decades, in governance. We are people's friendly. We listen to the people. This governor has his mantra as Rivers First, and it means that he's a listening governor. All the challenges that are there, we will try to do the best we can, and we want to pray for the cooperation of Rivers people. I want to believe that the hardship truly is staring on our faces, and I know that with God, things will change.
All right.
And this governor is bothered about it, and I'm believing God that he will do something to...
All right, Honorable Commissioner, we want to say thank you here. We have to go for a commercial.
Stay with us. Nigeria Info. We'll be back.
Life is always full of